If you enjoy stories about unfaithful wives, this channel is for you. Leave a like and support us by subscribing to the channel. I should have noticed sooner. The signs were there, small, almost invisible, but there. A recurring charge on our joint account labeled childcare services, a name I didn't recognize, Rebecca Morris, and the way Nathan's phone would light up at odd hours, messages he'd swipe away before I could glimpse the screen. But I trusted him. God, I trusted him. We'd been married for 5 years. We lived in a beautiful home in Atlanta, Georgia. White picket fence, manicured lawn, the works. Nathan was a successful financial consultant, charming and composed. I was a kindergarten teacher, content with our quiet, predictable life. Until that Tuesday afternoon in March. I was home early, sick with a migraine. I went to his office to find ibuprofen. His laptop was open, something he never left unattended. The screen showed an email thread. Subject: monthly support payment. April. My hands trembled as I scrolled. Photos. 4 identical toddlers with Nathan's eyes. A woman holding them, smiling. The timestamp, 2 weeks ago. My breath caught. Quadruplets, 2 years old, hidden from me. I read every email, every bank transfer, every lie, meticulously documented. He'd been supporting them, her, for over 2 years, with our money. While I planned our future, he was funding theirs. I closed the laptop. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled. Because I realized something in that moment. I wasn't just the victim. I was the one holding all the cards. I didn't confront him that night, or the next. I cooked dinner. I smiled across the table. I asked about his day like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Nathan didn't know that I knew, and I intended to keep it that way. For now. How was work, babe? He asked, cutting into his steak. Same as always, I said, my voice steady. The kids were sweet today. We did a project on families. He didn't even flinch, just nodded and took another bite. I watched him carefully, the way he checked his phone under the table, the way he excused himself to take a call after dessert, the way he came back smelling faintly of cologne he didn't wear that morning. I was living with a stranger, but I wasn't going to react emotionally. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of a messy, tearful confrontation he could twist into my fault. No, I was going to be smart. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective in my own home. I installed a recovery app on our shared cloud and retrieved every deleted photo, every erased message. I photographed bank statements. I recorded timestamps of his late meetings. I even hired a private investigator, a woman named Victoria, mid-50s, no nonsense, expensive. Get me everything, I told her during our discreet meeting at a coffee shop across town. She did. Victoria's report arrived in a manila envelope 1 week later. It was worse than I'd imagined. Rebecca Morris wasn't a mistress. She was a partner. Nathan had met her at a conference in Miami 2.5 years ago. The affair started immediately. When she got pregnant, quadruplets, a 1 in 700,000 chance, he didn't leave me. He just kept both lives. He'd rented her an apartment in Savannah, 2 hours away, visited twice a week, sometimes more, paid for daycare, groceries, medical bills, all from our joint account, cleverly disguised as business expenses and client dinners. I felt sick, but I didn't break, because now I had proof. Now I had power. I chose a Friday, not just any Friday, the Friday of Nathan's annual company gala, the event where he loved to shine, networking with clients and colleagues, playing the role of the perfect family man. I'd always attended with him, the dutiful wife in a cocktail dress, smiling for photos. This year would be different. I spent the week preparing. Not my dress or my hair. Those were irrelevant. I prepared the truth. I contacted our family attorney, Thomas Bennett, a sharp man in his 60s who'd handled my father's estate. I showed him everything. My God, he whispered, flipping through the evidence. This is extensive. I want a divorce, I said, and I want him to lose everything he used to fund his lies. Thomas nodded slowly. We can do that. But if you want maximum impact, I do. Then we go public. Controlled, legal, but public. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Perfect. The gala was held at the Piedmont Center in downtown Atlanta. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, 200 guests in designer suits and gowns. Nathan was in his element, laughing with his business partners near the bar. He saw me across the room and waved, that charming smile plastered on his face. I waved back. Then I walked to the podium. The MC looked confused when I approached, but I whispered something about a special announcement, and he stepped aside, handing me the microphone. The room quieted. Nathan's face shifted. Confusion, then concern. "Good evening, everyone," I began, my voice steady and clear. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have something important to share." I saw Thomas near the exit, recording everything on his phone. Legal documentation. My husband, Nathan Pearson, has been living a double life for the past 2 years. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Nathan's face went white. He started toward me, but Thomas blocked his path, calm and professional. He has been financially supporting another woman and their 4 children, quadruplets to be exact, using money from our joint accounts. Money I earned, money we saved together. I pulled out a folder from my purse and held it up. I have bank statements, emails, photographs, and a private investigator's report documenting every lie, every transaction, every secret trip to Savannah. The room was silent, except for the clicking of phone cameras. Nathan tried to speak. "Sarah, this isn't the truth?" I finished for him. "Yes, Nathan, it is." I looked at the crowd, his colleagues, his clients, people who'd trusted him with their finances, their futures. "I'm filing for divorce, and I'm pursuing full legal recourse for financial infidelity and fraud." I set the microphone down gently and walked off the stage. Nathan stood frozen, his mask finally shattered. I didn't look back. I thought the gala would be the end of it. I was wrong. Monday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls, all from the same number, Nathan's lawyer. I called Thomas immediately. "Sarah, we have a problem," he said, his voice tight. Nathan's fighting back, hard. My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "He's filed a countersuit. He's claiming you defamed him, that the accusations were false, that you fabricated evidence to humiliate him publicly. He's suing you for emotional distress and reputational damage." I nearly dropped the phone. "He's what?" "He's also requesting an emergency hearing to freeze all marital assets until the case is resolved. If he wins, you won't get a dime." Rage flooded through me. Hot, white, blinding. "He thinks he can intimidate me?" "That's exactly what he's doing," Thomas said. "And Sarah, I need you to be prepared. He's hired Lawrence Whitman." I knew that name. Whitman was a ruthless divorce attorney, known for destroying opposing parties in court. Expensive, vicious. "How is he affording Whitman?" I asked. Thomas hesitated. "We think he liquidated some hidden assets, accounts we haven't found yet." So Nathan had been planning this, preparing for war. Fine. He wanted war? I'd give him one. That afternoon, I met with Thomas and Victoria, my private investigator. "We need everything," I told them. "Every hidden account, every lie he's told, every single thing he doesn't want exposed." Victoria smiled, a sharp, predatory grin. "I've been saving something for a moment like this." She slid a folder across the table. Inside were bank statements from an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Nearly $400,000. Money Nathan had siphoned from our joint savings over the past 2.5 years, bit by bit. "He's been hiding this since the affair started," Victoria said. "I found it last week but wanted to confirm the source. It's all traceable back to him." Thomas's eyes widened. "This is fraud. Financial fraud on a massive scale. And there's more," Victoria continued. "Rebecca isn't the only one." My blood went cold. "What?" She pulled out another document. "He had an affair 6 months before Rebecca. A woman named Lauren Chen in Houston. It lasted 4 months. She has text messages, emails, photos." I stared at the evidence, my hands shaking. Nathan hadn't just betrayed me once. He'd made a career of it. The emergency hearing was scheduled for Thursday. I walked into that courtroom with my head high, Thomas at my side, and a briefcase full of nuclear-level evidence. Nathan sat across the aisle with Lawrence Whitman, a silver-haired shark in a $5,000 suit. Nathan looked confident, composed. He smiled at me. I smiled back. Then I destroyed him. Thomas presented the offshore accounts first. The judge's face darkened as he reviewed the documents. "Mr. Pearson," the judge said slowly, "can you explain these transactions?" Nathan's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, those accounts were for business investments." "Business investments?" Thomas interrupted. "In the Cayman Islands? With no documentation, no tax filings, and funds taken directly from a joint marital account without Mrs. Pearson's knowledge or consent?" Whitman tried to object, but the judge silenced him. Then we showed the evidence of Lauren Chen. Then the falsified expense reports. Then the payments to Rebecca that Nathan had labeled as charitable donations on our taxes. By the time we finished, Nathan's face was ashen. The judge looked at him with open disgust. "Mr. Pearson, not only am I denying your countersuit, I'm referring this case to the district attorney for potential criminal charges of fraud and tax evasion." Nathan's lawyer whispered something urgent in his ear. The judge continued, "Mrs. Pearson, I'm granting you an emergency injunction. All marital assets are frozen under your control pending final divorce proceedings. Mr. Pearson is prohibited from accessing any joint accounts or properties." I didn't smile. I just looked at Nathan. His mask was gone. He looked terrified. Good. Nathan showed up at my house 3 days later. I was in the kitchen, pouring coffee, when I heard the pounding on the front door. "Sarah, open up. We need to talk." His voice was desperate, frantic. I looked through the peephole. He was disheveled, wrinkled shirt, bloodshot eyes, 2 days of stubble. This wasn't the polished, composed man I'd married. This was a man unraveling. I opened the door but kept the chain lock engaged. "What do you want, Nathan?" "Please," he said, his voice breaking. "Please, just let me explain. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. You have nothing to say that I want to hear. Sarah, they're going to arrest me." Tears streamed down his face. "The DA is building a case. Fraud, tax evasion. I could go to prison. And whose fault is that? I made mistakes," he shouted. "I know I did, but you don't have to destroy me like this. You won, Sarah. You got everything. The house, the money, my reputation. What more do you want?" I stared at him through the crack in the door. "I want you to feel what I felt," I said quietly, "when I realized the man I loved never existed." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "Please," he whispered. "I'm begging you, drop the criminal referral. I'll give you whatever you want. I'll sign anything." "You don't have anything left to give me, Nathan." "Then what do you want from me?" he screamed. "Nothing," I said. "Absolutely nothing." I closed the door. He pounded on it for another minute, shouting, pleading. Then he left. 2 days later, Rebecca called me. "Sarah, I need to tell you something." Her voice was shaking. "What is it?" "Nathan came to see me. Yesterday. He was manic, talking fast, not making sense. He tried to convince me to lie for him." My grip tightened on the phone. "Lie how?" "He wanted me to say that I seduced him, that I knew he was married and pursued him anyway. He said if I testified in court that he was the victim, he'd make sure I got more child support." Rage boiled in my chest. "What did you say?" "I told him to go to hell," Rebecca said, her voice fierce. "Then he threatened me. He said if I didn't help him, he'd take me to court for parental alienation and fight for custody of the kids." "He what?" "He's never even met them, Sarah. He's never held them, never changed a diaper, never been to a doctor's appointment, and now he wants to use them as leverage." I was silent for a moment, processing. Nathan wasn't just desperate. He was dangerous. "Rebecca," I said carefully, "would you be willing to testify? In court. About everything." She hesitated. "You mean, against him?" "Yes." There was a long pause. "He deserves it," she said finally. "He used both of us. He lied to both of us. So yes, I'll testify." The deposition happened the following week. Rebecca sat across from Nathan and his lawyer in a small conference room, Thomas and I beside her. Nathan wouldn't look at her. Thomas started gently. "Ms. Morris, can you describe the nature of your relationship with Mr. Pearson?" Rebecca took a deep breath. "He told me he was separated, that his marriage was over and he was just waiting for the paperwork to finalize. I believed him." "And when did you discover that was a lie?" "When I was 6 months pregnant. I saw his Facebook page. There was a photo of him and Sarah at a charity gala. She was tagged as his wife. They looked happy. I remembered that photo. I'd posted it myself." "What did you do?" Thomas asked. "I confronted him. He said it was complicated, that Sarah didn't understand him, that he'd leave her after the babies were born." Rebecca's voice cracked. "I was terrified. Alone, pregnant with 4 babies. So I believed him because I needed to." Nathan's lawyer interjected. "Ms. Morris, isn't it true that you continued the relationship willingly?" "Willingly?" Rebecca's voice turned cold. "I was a 26-year-old woman pregnant with quadruplets. He paid my rent, my medical bills. I was dependent on him. That's not willing. That's trapped," Thomas continued. "And did Mr. Pearson ever acknowledge the children publicly?" "Never. He visited maybe twice a month, always late at night. He never told his family, never told his friends. He treated us like a secret shame." And recently, did Mr. Pearson contact you? Rebecca nodded. Yes, last week. He tried to bribe me into lying for him in court. When I refused, he threatened to take my children away. Nathan's lawyer shot to his feet. Objection. That's hearsay. I have recordings, Rebecca said calmly. The room went silent. She pulled out her phone and placed it on the table. He called me 4 times. I recorded every conversation. Thomas smiled. May we hear them? She pressed play. Nathan's voice filled the room. Panicked, manipulative, threatening. If you don't help me, I'll bury you in court. I'll say you're unfit. I'll take those kids and you'll never see them again. I watched Nathan's face drain of color. His lawyer closed his briefcase. We're done here. They left. Rebecca looked at me, tears in her eyes. Did I do okay? I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You were perfect. The final divorce hearing was set for a Friday morning in late October. I arrived at the courthouse at 8:45 a.m., dressed in a navy suit, my hair pulled back, every inch the composed professional. Nathan was already there, sitting on a bench outside the courtroom. He looked hollow, 20 pounds thinner, dark circles under his eyes, cheap suit that didn't fit right. When he saw me, he stood. Sarah. I walked past him without a word. Thomas was waiting inside. Ready? I nodded. Let's finish this. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Just the judge, a court reporter, our lawyers, and us. Judge Margaret Hayes was a stern woman in her 60s, known for having zero tolerance for dishonesty. She reviewed the files in silence for several minutes. Then she looked up at Nathan. Mr. Pearson, I've presided over divorce cases for 23 years. I have never seen a more egregious pattern of deception, financial abuse, and manipulation than what's documented here. Nathan's lawyer started to speak. Your Honor, my client. I'm not finished, the judge said coldly. Your client maintained a secret family for over 2 years using marital funds. He hid assets in offshore accounts. He committed tax fraud. He threatened the mother of his children when she refused to perjure herself on his behalf. And when confronted with evidence, he filed a frivolous countersuit to intimidate his wife. She closed the folder. I'm granting Mrs. Pearson everything she's requested. Full dissolution of marriage. She receives the marital home, all vehicles, and 85% of marital assets, including retirement accounts. Mr. Pearson will repay every dollar misappropriated from joint accounts, with interest. Nathan's face crumpled. Additionally, the judge continued, Mr. Pearson will pay Mrs. Pearson's legal fees in full. He will have no claim to any future earnings or assets acquired by Mrs. Pearson post-divorce. And I'm forwarding my findings to the Georgia State Bar for review of potential disciplinary action. Your Honor, Nathan's lawyer tried again. We'd like to request denied. This case is closed. The gavel came down. It was over. I walked out of the courthouse into bright autumn sunshine. Nathan followed me down the steps. Sarah, wait. I stopped but didn't turn around. His voice broke. I need you to know that I loved you. I did. I know you don't believe me, but I turned slowly. He looked so small, so pathetic. You want to know the truth, Nathan? I said quietly. I don't care if you loved me. Love isn't what you feel. It's what you do. And what you did was lie, steal, cheat, and manipulate everyone who trusted you. I made mistakes. No, I interrupted. Mistakes are accidental. What you did was calculated. For years. Tears ran down his face. I'm sorry. I know you are, I said. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you lost. You're sorry your life fell apart. I stepped closer. But you're not sorry for what you did to me. Because if you were, you would have stopped. You would have told the truth. You would have been honest just once. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I gave you 5 years of my life, Nathan. My trust, my loyalty, my love. And you threw it away like it meant nothing. It meant everything. Then why wasn't I enough? I asked, my voice sharp as glass. He flinched. That's what I thought, I said softly. I turned and walked away. Sarah, he called after me. Sarah, please. I didn't look back. 6 months later, I was sitting on my back porch, watching the sun set over the trees. The house was mine, fully mine. I'd repainted the bedroom, donated all of Nathan's belongings, planted a garden in the backyard. Every trace of him was gone. My phone buzzed. A text from my friend Jennifer. Saw Nathan at the grocery store today. He looked rough. Asked about you. I deleted the message. I didn't need updates on his life. I'd moved on. I'd started teaching again, this time at a private school where I was appreciated and respected. I'd reconnected with old friends. I'd even gone on a few dates, though nothing serious yet. I wasn't in a hurry. For the first time in years, I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. Not because I'd destroyed Nathan, though he'd certainly destroyed himself, but because I'd reclaimed me, my power, my voice, my future. He'd thought he could control the narrative, thought he could manipulate his way out of consequences. He was wrong. I didn't need revenge. I just needed the truth, and the truth had set me free. A year after the divorce, I ran into Rebecca at a coffee shop. The Quadruplets were with her, no longer tiny toddlers but energetic 3-year-olds, laughing and playing with crayons. "Sarah?" she said, surprised. "Hi, Rebecca." We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then she smiled, small, but genuine. "Thank you for everything you did, the recordings, the testimony. It helped me get full custody and child support." "You deserved it," I said. One of the little girls ran up to me, holding a drawing. "Look, I made a butterfly." I knelt down. "It's beautiful." She beamed and ran back to her siblings. Rebecca watched them, her expression soft. "They ask about him sometimes. Their dad. What do you tell them?" "The truth," she said quietly. "That he wasn't ready to be a father. That some people make choices they can't take back." I nodded. "They'll be okay," she added. "We'll be okay. I know you will." We said goodbye, and I walked back to my car. As I drove home, I realized something. Nathan had tried to build a life on lies, and lies always collapse. But the truth endures, and I was living proof. He thought the secret would destroy me, but the truth gave me clarity, strength, and direction. It wasn't just the end of my marriage. It was the end of the lie that held his empire together. Thank you for watching until the end. Your support is very important. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.